Someone cuts you off in traffic, and before the moment is over, you've already decided who they are as a person. Aggressive, inconsiderate, the kind of human being who goes through life treating other people that way. Now think about the last time you cut someone off in traffic. You were probably running late, or the lane was merging, or you simply didn't see them. The situation explains it. You were not revealing your character. You were responding to your circumstances. This asymmetry, immediate, invisible, nearly universal, is one of the most replicated findings in all of social psychology. Researchers call it the fundamental attribution error, and it operates every day in every relationship you have, in almost every judgment you make about another person's behavior. In 1967, psychologists Edward Jones and Victor Harris at Duke University designed a study to test how people infer beliefs from behavior. They gave participants a set of essays to read, some arguing in favor of Fidel Castro's Cuba, others arguing against him. Half the participants were told the writers had chosen their position freely. The other half were told the writers had been assigned their position by a coin flip and had no choice about what argument to make. The rational response, when told a writer had no choice, is to take no information at all about that person's beliefs from the essay. The essay was mandatory. It could have been written by anyone. It reveals nothing about who that person actually is or what they actually believe. That is not what happened. Participants who knew the writers had been assigned their positions still rated them as genuinely holding the views expressed in the essay, more moderately than participants who thought the writers had chosen freely, but still significantly more than zero. Even when the situational constraint was fully explained, clearly documented, and directly stated before the essays were read, people could not stop themselves from inferring character from behavior. The logic of the situation was available to them. They were told it explicitly. They simply could not apply it fully. Lee Ross at Stanford gave this pattern its name and its formal definition in 1977, the fundamental attribution error. He called it fundamental because it underlies an enormous range of social misjudgments, not because it is always wrong. What made it an error was the systematic neglect of situational information, even when that information was provided, the consistent tendency to attribute behavior to what a person is like, rather than to what situation they were in. The mechanism behind this runs through how your brain handles the two stages of social perception. The first stage is automatic. You see a behavior, and your mind immediately produces a character explanation. That person is rude. That person is dishonest. That person is careless. This happens in milliseconds, below the level of deliberate thought, with no conscious decision to do it. The second stage, slowing down, considering the situation, asking what pressures or circumstances might explain the behavior, is slow, effortful, and cognitively demanding. When you're busy, tired, emotionally activated, or simply not prompted to think carefully, the second stage does not run. The first impression becomes the final verdict. This two-stage model, developed and refined by psychologist Daniel Gilbert at Harvard across a series of studies in the late 1980s and early 1990s, explains why the error persists even in people who know about it. Knowing about it does not prevent it. To correct for situational factors requires the kind of deliberate mental effort that is precisely unavailable in the moments when judgments are being made quickly. In an argument, in the first seconds of meeting someone, while watching a news story about a person whose full situation you know almost nothing about. The actor-observer asymmetry extends the original finding into something that touches every relationship you have. When you are the actor, the one whose behavior is under consideration, you have full access to the context. You know what you were feeling, what pressures you were navigating, what you didn't know at the time, what you were genuinely trying to do. When you observe someone else's behavior, you have none of that interior access. You have only the action visible from the outside, with none of the surrounding context that would explain it, which means you are almost always working with more generous information about your own behavior than about anyone else's, and you are systematically drawing harsher conclusions about other people as a result. Not because you intend to be unfair, but because you are applying two different information sets to two different people and treating the conclusions as equally valid. Psychologist Bertram Malle at Brown University spent years studying how this asymmetry operates inside close relationships specifically. His research found that even between partners who know each other deeply, the pattern persists. During recurring conflicts, each person believes they understand their own reasons for behaving as they do, and each believes the other is demonstrating something essential about their character by behaving as they do. Neither person feels like they're being unfair. Both are operating under exactly the same cognitive asymmetry, from exactly opposite positions, each convinced the other is the one making a character judgment when the behavior was situational. The pattern also operates in aggregated form, across large groups, in ways that have serious social consequences. When a group of people observes a person failing, losing a job, making a public mistake, acting under pressure in a high-stakes moment, the fundamental attribution error shapes how they interpret that failure. The situation that produced it, the structural pressures, the information the person didn't have, the constraints they were operating inside, becomes invisible. The character explanation fills the space. They fail because of who they are. Social media has given the fundamental attribution error its most powerful environment. When you see someone's behavior extracted from its context, a screenshot of one sentence, a reaction without the conversation that produced it, a decision without the circumstances that informed it, you have exactly the conditions under which the error runs most powerfully. There is no situation away. There is only behavior, and behavior reads as character. This is why public pylons often feel righteous from inside them. Each individual observer is doing exactly what their social perception system was built to do. The problem is not bad intent. It is the absence of the contextual information that would allow for a corrected judgment. What would actually correct for this bias is not simple awareness alone, but a specific habit of inquiry. Before concluding anything about another person's character from a single behavior, asking what situation would produce this behavior in an otherwise reasonable person. Not assuming the situation explains everything. Not eliminating character as a variable entirely. Just extending that question before closing it. Most of the time, the answer involves factors you simply didn't know existed. The deepest irony is that the same people who consistently apply this question to their own behavior, who expect to be judged in context, understood with nuance, given the benefit of a situation that others didn't see, rarely extend that standard to the people they are judging. Subscribe, because each and every week we bring you one more mechanism shaping how you see others, and how accurately you think you're actually doing it.